everyone, this is Jack from the Cardboard Herald, and recently I turned to Twitter to ask all of you, what are your board gaming hot takes, your spiciest stances when it comes to the industry, to the hobby, to playing, to games that are coming out, whatever it is. And I'm going to take my favorite of those responses, slap them on here, let you know what I think about them, because content creators gotta create content. Them's the breaks. So let's go. There is no excuse for a modern Euro game to be lacking a well-integrated theme. Stop it with the generic tacked-on themes about colonialist trading. Okay, yeah, colonialism, definitely agree with. Now, trading, the classic trading in the Mediterranean theme that so many people make fun of Euro games for, I think that can be really well integrated. Abstract does not necessarily mean a poor theme, and not everything has to be dinosaur parks or some other subversion of classic tropes as associated with Euro games. Colonialism, though, as a whole, I think the industry is moving away from. This isn't exactly a hot take. There are more and more companies that are going out there directly saying they will no longer have colonialist themes, they will no longer have the oppression of indigenous people. I mean, real high bar we're setting for ourselves here. And I think every time that a new one of these games come out, there is an uproar. Besides, I don't think that a classic trading in the Mediterranean plus colonialism theme has risen to prominence in the last several years. So I think this is kind of a complaint about a bygone era. Something we should definitely strive to move away from, but not exactly a huge problem in the modern hobby at the moment. It's okay to like Monopoly or any other unpopular game. Liking unpopular game does not make you less of a gamer. I agree with that. You can like Monopoly, but also don't make it so that I can't dislike Monopoly. There are a lot of people who on the internet, they will make these announcements, these proclamations, it's okay to like Monopoly, and I'm so upset with the industry, with Twitter, with social media, whatever it is, because they just pick on gateway games. Games are games, and people should like the games that they like. Yes, I agree with all that, but nonetheless, don't take away my ability to say, I think this is a bad game. And besides, there are plenty of games that are coming out today that I also think are bad games. I don't think you're a bad person for liking them, but I might think you have bad taste for liking bad games, and that's totally fine. More app-assisted games, when done well, of course. See Journeys and Middle-earth. Yes, that caveat, when done well. I mean, come on, we want to see more innovation in the space. We want to see more exciting ways to play games, and I think that app-assisted games are going to give us a gateway into new spaces that board games haven't been able to visit before. But at the same time, it can also be a really lazy crutch or cost-saving maneuver that ultimately isn't reducing the retail cost for the consumer, but maybe the production cost for the manufacturer and publisher for an app that no one ever really asked for. I think app-assisted games can be cool so long as they innovate or are only supplementary and aren't required for the gameplay. If they are required, they better be able to do something that otherwise wouldn't be able to be done with physical components. People who avoid conflict games are poor sports. Wow, this is spicy. This is exactly what I turn to you for. And to a degree, I agree. I mean, I don't think that people who avoid conflict games in total because they think that's just not the type of game for me and they want to play different types of games. Well, I mean, again, you do you, and there are plenty of games that I really love that are not conflict-heavy games. But if you are playing a conflict-heavy game, or even a conflict-moderate game for that matter, and you are skirting conflict in its entirety in the game, then you're playing that game wrong. Games rely on players meeting them on their own merits in order to provide the tension, the pushback for a holistic and cohesive experience for everyone. And if one player is not engaging in an integral aspect of that game, it throws the entire thing out of whack. And in that case, yeah, you're being a poor sport. You shouldn't have signed up to play this game. Avoiding it entirely, well, I'm not going to hate you for that. If you can totally get a game in only 1 or 2 plays, it's not worth it. Yeah, hard disagree here. That might be semantics though. I mean, there are a lot of games out there that I think have a lot of strategic depth, but I fully understand exactly what I'm doing the first time that I play, or it may be something that through repeated plays I'm going to be able to just enjoy the company of someone else more. I'm thinking of something like Santorini. The first time that I play it or the second time I play it, I've seen everything that that game is going to show me. However, my skill is going to increase as I play it more and more, and I can test the boundaries of different strategies there. So whether or not you consider that fully getting it in 1 or 2 plays, I don't know, but there are a lot of games where the width of the game isn't that much. It's like a narrow experience, but it has an incredible amount of depth. And just because I didn't see every variant and I didn't see every story moment and I didn't access every single strategy in the game, doesn't mean that that game is inherently going to be a banger either. There's a lot of games with a lot of baggage out there, and you know what? It can be too much too. Quarterbacking is 100% a social issue, not a game mechanics issue, and that any attempt to blame the game for someone being a bully is ignoring the social contract of gaming. Again, this is getting into the social contract of playing a game on its own terms, and yeah, players gotta regulate. You need to make sure that if someone is overstepping their bounds to the point in which they're making it a not fun experience for other players at the table, then you as a group need to make sure that that person is aware that they're doing that. And if they can't get themselves in check, then they don't belong at the table. There are plenty of games that try to mitigate this and overcome this or make it harder for quarterbacking to exist. But in my experience, most of the time, quarterbacking comes as a result of someone trying to be helpful for players who they feel might be a little less experienced or a little less sure of themselves as they're playing. And you just need to say, dude, let them make their own decisions. They'll succeed or fail, and maybe that success or failure is going to play into your own success or failure, but nonetheless, they are getting their bearings on this game. I got a couple like this. It's okay to have a few games you like and play them again and again, as well as I prefer strongly to play a game I know over a game I haven't played before. And yeah, that's true. I don't think that there's any disagreement from most people that that's a completely okay position to have in this hobby. I mean, I, of course, as a board game reviewer, I have to look at tons of new games, and I'm not even the most comprehensive of board game reviewers out there, and so I can't even fathom the amount of new games that other people have to play in order to keep up. And I completely agree. In my own personal non-Cardboard Herald gaming time, I'm playing things that I know and love more often than I'm playing the new stuff. However, new stuff that comes out often becomes the stuff that I know and love, so I never want to get rid of the experience of playing new games. But yeah, if you only want to have a couple games and you want to plumb the depths of those games, you do you. I love this one because it's so bad. Here's one so unpopular I would never dare say it to anyone's face. If you're having a hard time understanding the rules, blame the rulebook less and your reading comprehension skills more. And this is a problem that I just can't buy. Rulebooks can be terrible. This is something we know as gamers, as publishers, as designers. It's a problem that we're trying to overcome in order to encourage more players to come to our games, to promote accessibility, to make it an easier experience for people to learn. And there is a hell of a difference between a well-written rulebook and a terrible written rulebook. And don't try and tell me that there aren't bad rulebooks that are coming out in 2022, because it comes up again and again and again. I have to learn so many games, complex games, simple games, and how that information is presented makes a drastic difference. If it were just a reading comprehension issue, then there wouldn't be a myriad of posts on BGG about explain what the hell this ambiguity is in the rulebook or what is trying to be conveyed in this. do better as you write rule books. And make the rule book smaller. Like, don't give me the full 12 by 12 thing. I don't need that. I want a small rule book. That's my own personal thing. That's a board game pet peeve more than it is a hot take. It is completely unnecessary to use gendered pronouns in rule books, and at this point in the discourse, I will just assume people who do it are being willfully sexist. I have no disagreement there. Completely agree. And besides, they, them, and their is so much easier to write than trying to be comprehensive with both female and male pronouns. I mean, come on. It's just easy and it is more respectful. You can do this. I don't know if it's a hot take, but people who think of game purchases in terms of component quality for money value just don't make sense to me. I don't know. Money's different for different people, and what they get out of this hobby is different for different people. Some people really like the collection aspect. They like the component aspect. They like the toy aspect. They want a prestigious thing, or they want to engage in the board game as a separate hobby. Painting miniatures is a hobby into and of itself for a lot of people, and the wow factor of really nice, pristine components can be an important aspect of a game. That said, I completely agree in that a good game can have bad components and it's still a good game, whereas a bad game can have excellent components and it can still be a pile of horse poop. And lastly, Jaipur would be over 9,000 times better if it had miniatures and tactical combat. I mean, who's going to touch my camels if I have howitzer mechs on the table? That's just a fact of life. So, hard agree. And that's it. Those are the hot takes that I got this time. I think next time I'm going to personally check out what your pet peeves are. If you want to engage in the conversation, you can find us on Twitter at Cardboard Herald. As always, thanks for all of your support. Thanks for watching this. Let us know, are there any of these that you completely disagree with? What are some of your own hot takes? And you make sure you go out there, you do some gaming, you do it safe, you have fun, and keep watching. Thank you so much. I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald.